It's man, once you're in the TypeScript ecosystem, it really makes everything else look kind of janky.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is we want to do more native stuff, like integrate a runtime that we control instead of running on a web browser.
Yeah, that's probably a better effort.
Oh,
we are.
right.
Oh my God, just like that. No warning at all. Yeah. Thanks, producer. Yeah.
Hello, Internet.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. What are we up to today? Why all the hoopla?
Yeah, and this.
Yep, exactly. So, welcome everyone. It's Edge's birthday.
That is?
Right? Well, it's a few days after.
Yeah, it's close enough.
You know, it's close enough, actually. I don't know what.
How old are we again?
Gosh, now Edge itself, I think we're celebrating on 9th? What do we say, 7th? 8th? 2018.
Yeah.
So 2018. So 7 years old.
7
That's
years
right.
old.
That's right. Because in 2021, when we had first moved into this office, I think we had the Edge's 4th birthday,
Yeah,
3 years ago.
party.
And so yeah, we're kind of doing a little throwback and you know, look at the origin story of how we got here. You know, and like maybe we can finally dig up some interesting nugget moments in the journey.
Memories.
Some old fond memories. There have been a lot of fond memories in the journey to get to where we're at today. You know, I don't know. What should we kick off with?
Well,
RJ?
I'm new to this podcast thing.
Well, actually, not really. We used to have a podcast way back, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
There's still, if you search like
The
Edge
2016
podcast,
days, remember?
Yeah,
we called it. We didn't call it an AMA. We called it the Q. What is it? Not the Q&A.
I forgot what
QA.
it was, but we had that like every
Friday.
The
I think.
pirate, whatever it was, Kylan show.
Yeah,
Kylan was on there.
Captain
Yep.
Crypto Show.
Captain Crypto
Exactly.
Show or something.
And I remember, I think if you search on YouTube for that show, I think a photo of you comes up with a full stash. You know, that was the, kind of the era
Oh
when you
man,
had the
that
full
was
stash.
so long ago.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, what are the list of questions we were going to hit up, RJ?
Okay, yeah. How did Airvits evolve into Edge? Like, what made that transition?
Gosh, we're already going to the transition era.
We got to talk about Airbits first, because
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody
Actually,
even.
I skipped that then.
Yeah.
What were the initial challenges for Airbits when we first started?
Oh.
So I can remember some of that.
Well, I mean, I think with any startup, one of the initial challenges is kind of getting everything together. Like, who becomes Airbits?
Right.
You know, who becomes Airbits? Who the team is? What is the product?
Right.
Getting
You know.
a product to work.
Getting it to work for sure.
Yeah.
I know we were just like every other engineering task, substantially late in delivery based on what we thought it would take.
Yeah.
You know, it
Oh,
was a
3
much
months
more
we'll have it
ambiguous.
done, and it was a year later.
Well, we knew we'd be able to get the one thing that did ship on time, which gosh, do we still get inquiries about this? Is the merchant directory.
The merchant directory.
The good old, we have some fond stories of the merchant directory,
Yeah.
if you remember. Yeah, so we'd built a merchant directory, and that launched pretty quick, like 2 months,
Yep, that was fast.
Yep.
2-3 months, so people can spend Bitcoin. Back in the days when there were like 24 merchants around all of San Diego and thousands. I don't know how big did the directory get to, if you recall.
I think it was like maybe 6,000 or 7,000 plus listings, like towards the end before we deprecated.
Before you deprecate that, and that's worldwide.
Yeah,
right?
worldwide.
I guess in the grand scheme that sounds small.
Yeah.
So this was back in what, 2014. Your first couple of weeks with the company were just entering information into the merchant
Yeah,
directory.
it was like daily submissions of
Yeah.
like businesses, physical businesses too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you weren't
Yeah.
doing customer support. We had no customers.
Yeah,
There
not
was
yet.
no product. It was just business directory, data entry.
Yeah. There
Maybe
were
a
some
tiny bit of
phones, but,
QA.
like,
No, we were QAing it as well. So it's
Yeah.
data entry, and at the time, I think, when did you join, RJ?
back in February of 2014.
February 2014. I think the company more officially started, the team came together, I would say in January. Is when we hit the ground, boom, we know what we want to do, let's start building.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we didn't ship until, the first ship was, what, April-ish?
Of the
time
business
frame?
directory.
Right. the business
before
directory.
summer. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
right before summer.
Yep. I remember we went to 2 different conferences back to back. I don't think you got to go, RJ, but the co-founders, myself,
New York
William,
and Toronto.
Yeah, I
New
remember
York
the
and
Canada
Toronto.
one. Yeah.
And we showed off the business directory with, I think, a little demo of the wallet.
Yeah.
We had just a few screens,
Yeah.
of.
There was some test balance, but it wasn't really.
It wasn't real,
Not
just showed
yet anyways.
screenshots. And if you look at, God, I wish I could show what wallets looked like back in 2013.
I probably
They
still have
looked
those screenshots.
heavily jank. We looked amazing.
Yeah.
Like wow, polish and style and UX and whatnot. It looked very, very polished compared to what was available at that time. Not to throw them under the bus because we needed something, but mycelium was cream of the crop at the time. Which
They're
I think,
gone now, right?
Yeah.
I think you can still
think
get them
it
in the
still
stores, but
exists.
I don't know a single soul that still uses them. And the public face of Mycelium, one of their kind of community manager, product guys, is now, well, I haven't talked to him in years, but last I talked to him was a big promoter of Edge.
Oh, wow.
So he's become a promoter of Edge. He's actually come by the office, I think our old office in downtown a few times.
I feel like if you wanted self-custody, the choices were Mycelium and blockchain info.
Yeah,
that was it.
pretty much
Those
it.
are two big ones. And I think
Yeah.
I used blockchain info on iOS and then Mycelium on Android.
Yeah.
I don't know if, actually, I think Mycelium didn't have iOS at the time.
No, it was just Android.
It was only
Yeah.
Android.
I think there was another one called like Hive in iOS. I'm not sure if it came out maybe a year after, but it's like one of the early wallets.
I remember
I
Breadwallet
vaguely
also
remember
being
that
pretty
one.
early
Yeah,
on
Hive
too.
on iOS.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember Hive. I think, was that the one out of Atlanta?
I think so.
Had a big guy promoting it. It was a
Yeah.
red wallet, like red themed wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that one. I totally forgot about it until you just mentioned it right now.
Yeah, but there wasn't much of a selection. I remember when I first got into crypto, there was like no mobile wallets. Mycelium was like 2013. and
You
I
got
was
in
like,
early.
Yeah, there was like the first mobile wallet I was using. Multibit was the desktop wallet I was using in 2012.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Multibit.
I
When did
think-
you get into Bitcoin, both of you?
Well, I got involved in 2013 for real. I'd heard about it before, but didn't want to wire money to Japan to get.
Oh, so you'd actually heard about it before. I didn't hear about it until 2013.
Yeah.
That was first I'd heard about it, and I think by then I was able to use Coinbase, so I didn't have to do anything fancy and weird and awkward
I had to do what William did, like wire money to Mt.
to
Gox.
Japan.
Yeah.
So the
So my strategy for getting my first
Physically.
Bitcoin
You're right.
was I put a pre-order in for a jalapeno miner
oh, ouch.
from Butterfly Labs, and so that arrived later that year, 2013 fall-ish. I mined with it for 2 or 3 months, stuck the money in blockchain info, and then went to the meetup where I met you.
That's right.
And then I paid for the pizza using blockchain info in the mobile browser on an old Android. It was terrible.
Yeah, the user experience wasn't great back then. No, for sure. I think I had used Multibit as well, like
Yeah,
as
okay.
on a desktop.
Yeah.
And I remember the moment where I said, "Okay, I want to build something." It was at the exact meetup that we now host here in Edge.
Yeah.
That Steve Kane, one of the original meetup organizers from like early 2013, he was organizing it, and I said, "Yeah, I'd like to help out," and I did a how-to on Multibit.
Yep.
I gave a little presentation on how to use Multibit, and I remember either I'm a bad instructor or it's just such a hard app to use that I think 10 minutes into the presentation, I said, why am I even bothering presenting this app? Like, I could see everyone's eyes just glossed over going,
Yeah.
what? I've got to, like,
You have to
stick the
generate
USB
addresses.
disk in from one device to another.
This
in
was
order for
before
me to-
12-word seeds or any
Yeah,
of
there were no
that.
12-word
Yeah.
seeds at the time. There were just these, payloads of binary data that you would copy onto a USB stick from your online computer to bring to your offline computer to then sign, and then put the data back on the USB stick, bring it onto your online computer, and then direct Multibit to pull that file to then actually broadcast it out into the internet.
Yeah.
That's how you do kind of a sort of cold storage.
Right.
And I was like, God, this is heinous. We could improve this by a lot. And I remember that was actually the meetup where I met one of our other co-founders, Damien.
Yeah.
In like September or October or so, 2013.
So that was
And
the first time meeting Damien.
That was the very first one. Was actually
Okay, so
through
yeah.
through the meetup group.
Okay.
And so I think almost all of us came together through meetups.
Yeah.
It's been a
So you're like Scott,
huge.
Kevin, all you guys like met up for the first time back in 2013. Not you
Yeah.
guys didn't know each other like
Yeah.
prior to that year.
Well, how did you meet Paul?
I applied on like this website called Coinality, I think the website.
Yeah.
So it's like a crypto job board, and I applied online, and then Paul responded, and I went to the interview.
That was like
and
one of the
that's how we hit it
fastest
up.
hires. Like, RJ, practically a founder, first person on the team that we had hired. It's still cranking along. And I remember that Coinality. And the guy that ran that site had been running meetups as well. And he eventually worked at Coinbase. Well, I think,
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's still in the crypto at this point in time, but it was a really popular site at the time. A lot of people were using it to exactly do what we did, right? Find people in crypto.
Yeah, I got
You
paid
know.
in crypto.
Yeah, exactly, and get paid in crypto. I remember Multibit as being one of the big challenging apps to use, and it's faded since. I think it was open source, so I guess you could download and use it, but
Yeah.
by and large, it's gone. Because there's far simpler apps to use. Obviously, Edge being one of them. I was reminded of this because you mentioned how you had to, or you didn't want to wire money, right? And
So-
RJ, you ended up just buying a miner. Your way of
Oh, right.
like originally acquiring Bitcoin.
Yeah, I had to go into the Wells Fargo bank physically and then wire transfer, and then took like a I think it took like a week, and then like before the funds showed up on Mt. Gox, and then you can buy.
Oh, you actually
Bitcoin.
bought from Mt. Gox.
Yeah, from Mt.
So you're an
Gox.
actual Gox guy. I came after Gox. Well, no, I came and I knew about Mt. Gox, but there were already local options.
Yeah.
But the guy that runs the meetup that once again that we host over here, Steve Kane, he told me his original story was he found someone on the forums online that would sell people Bitcoin if they mailed him cash. and he was like, I don't really have any other way. Either I go and like try to mine,
Yeah.
you know, like you did, William, or I just send cash. He's like, you know, I can afford to lose $200.
Yeah.
He stuck $200 in an envelope, sent it in the mail, and said, "There's $2 out in the wind." I just
Yeah.
burned $200 in cash.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, ding, his Mycelium wallet actually showed up with some
The
Bitcoin.
funds showed up.
Yeah, the funds showed up. You know, and I think he's bought like a $750,000 house.
Wow.
You know, like several years ago.
Yeah.
Like in the, I think it was like the 2015 post boom of the 2013 boom.
Okay, so after
You
the
know.
2013 boom, yeah.
Yeah. You know, he went and bought a house with that $200.
Wow.
You know, that he had originally put in. So yeah, those were the days. So yeah, it's kind of the
Yeah, my very first
origin.
Bitcoin I mined, and then the next ones I earned
Yeah.
by working.
That's always the best way to get Bitcoin is to earn it. So
Yeah.
for those of you out there that aren't earning it, go figure out a way. I know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were all kind of late for the faucets, though, right? It's like
Yeah,
2011,
Yeah, yeah.
like for the 50 free Bitcoins that you can click
Gosh,
every day.
50 free Bitcoin.
Once a day, you
Faucet,
can click into
absurd.
that. Yeah,
Oh my God.
I was too late for that, so I think
No,
that
it was way too late. That's kind of like Roger
2010,
Ver era,
2011,
where
yeah.
you're mining, you know, thousands and thousands of Bitcoin on your laptop.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I was far too late for that. I did find out that a friend of mine, and you knew him, Marvin. He kind of like dabbled a little bit of work with us. But after I discovered Bitcoin 2013, I mentioned it to him. He said, "Oh yeah, that Bitcoin. I think I mined like half a Bitcoin years ago." I'm like, "You actually knew about Bitcoin like several years ago, and you could mine half a Bitcoin?"
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. You know, I'm like, how in the world? And he's like, why? What's it worth? And at the time, I was like $500. He goes, what? I mined $250 worth?
yeah,
You know, and so that woke him up again to it. But I was blown away that a friend that I've had for years, and a dork friend where we always talk about like dorky engineering computer
Yeah.
stuff, never mentioned it to me.
yeah,
Right? Because otherwise, I may have learned about it. I think it was 2011 when he was mining it.
yeah.
But it completely missed my radar. Oh well.
Oh well.
Well, here today. Yeah. Cool. So yeah.
So yeah, we all met each other. You on the John board. We met at the meetup. We
Yeah,
built-
met at the
We
meetup.
built the Airbits wallet, Bitcoin only.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it was
correct,
Bitcoin
yeah.
only when really, I mean, 2013, what did CoinMarketCap even look like if it even existed as far as like what assets?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, there was, obviously
There
there was
was
Bitcoin.
like Purecoin and like all these other Bitcoin clones.
I feel like it
you
was
know,
basically Litecoin.
Yeah.
Litecoin was around. I remember I actually had some Litecoin that to this day I cannot find.
Mastercoin.
I remember in our old office in North Park, so that must have been 2014, I remember getting some Litecoin on the full Litecoin node, like ran the full node.
Yeah.
And that wallet.dat file, I still can't find to this day. And so like I don't know quite how much it was. I'm guessing it's at least a Tesla or two worth. That was my guess.
Yeah, so that was a seed back then. You didn't want to lose your .dat file.
Yeah, it was a
It was
file
like
that
multi-bit.
you couldn't type, you couldn't write down. It was a jumble of binary data. Maybe it wasn't binary, but
Yeah.
nothing simple to deal with. But
it's how
yeah,
you would recover your
Litecoin was
funds.
around.
Yeah, there
Unless they
was no
encrypted it, too.
Ethereum because I remember
Oh.
distinctly, we had launched Airbits. We
Yep.
all moved up to the Bay Area to join that startup incubator.
That's right.
Plug and
We were
Play.
in Plug and Play in 2015.
Yeah, and while that was happening, there were meetups talking about this up and coming Ethereum, and there
Yeah.
was a pre-sale on that.
We
thing.
were actually there. Do you guys remember downtown Johnny Brown's?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where he talked about Ethereum, and it was like pennies. I think there was like a pre-sale.
It was the
Who
pre-sale.
was talking about the Ethereum?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Vitalik?
I don't
Was it
remember
a meetup,
who
like
was-
Ethereum meetup?
It was at downtown Johnny Brown's. There was a physical meetup. All three of us were there.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of Ethereum, when we launched Airbits, the merchant directory, you mentioned how we went to New York and then Toronto.
Uh-huh.
Toronto, big 2 to 3 booth wide, as soon as you entered was Ethereum,
That's right.
right?
Wow,
And so
really?
like Vitalik was there, and I remember one of our co-founders, Damien, at the hacker house that you guys were at doing the hackathon, mentioned going out in the back and hanging out with a few people while they were taking a break, and one of them was Vitalik.
Yeah.
Just chit-chatting with him, like, oh, what's this Ethereum thing, you know? And so in those days, I remember a lot of people had huge doubts that it could work.
Yeah.
You know, like fully programmable, Turing complete. And honestly, I did. I didn't think you could do something that complex, and it somehow has shipped. It scaled okay. I guess you could say it scaled okay enough.
Fees
enough
are
to
a little
be-
bit wackadoodle, but
Oh, yeah, exactly. Although they've gone down as of recent, you know. But yeah, that was like actually one of the earliest points in time when people had good visibility of Ethereum.
Yeah.
You know, where they had a brand, they had branding, design, and you know, the people that were actually actively working on it.
Yeah.
It was at that Toronto conference,
like
like,
on
oh,
the
what
front
is this
lines.
thing? Yeah, maybe you could tell the little story of the conference right before we went to Toronto. Actually, no, it was actually in Toronto, right? Not the New York Bitcoin conference, but what you and Damien and Amir,
Yeah.
you know, had worked on over in the Toronto Bitcoin
Well,
Expo.
dark market or
well, we
something.
can't take too much credit for that because honestly, Amir had written most of this thing, but he wrote the dark market, which was
Right.
that anonymous peer-to-peer marketplace where you could post anything you want, no one can censor it, no one could
Right.
block the payment. It was based all on his tech stack, you know, Bitcoin, Obelisk, and all that sort of thing.
Oh, gosh, I hadn't
Oh,
heard that
I
word
remember
obelisk in a long time. Yeah, Lib Bitcoin.
Lib Bitcoin, yeah.
Dark Wallet, I think, you know, turned into Dark Market.
Yeah.
Yeah, fond history. And Amir is kind of, he had disappeared for a while and then re-showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now working on Dark Fi,
Yep. Dark Fi.
you know, his
yeah.
attempt at smart contracts with privacy, which seems like a very difficult thing to solve, although there's at least one other project I know that is shipping with that ability, although it's moon math cryptography that I can't quite understand how in the world that's feasible. But that's right, you guys had worked on that. Amir obviously took point
Yeah,
on
he
that.
took point on the technicals. We kind of helped with the UI. We put together the slide
Nice.
deck and
Very cool.
we helped with the presentation on that.
And how did that do in the hackathon?
That won the hackathon.
you guys
It
won.
won 18 bitcoins.
Whoa! I thought it was 10, but 18, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a multi-sig 203 wallet.
Okay.
And some of the Bitcoin was claimed, right, and used.
okay.
Right? And then after Amir lost his key, and we cannot. There's some confusion, right? There's
Right.
still 12 Bitcoin out there. If only somebody could. This is my version of your Litecoin
Yeah, oh
Because
my
it's
story.
gosh,
2-3, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we just need to find one more
One more
key and we can
signature.
put it all together.
Because there were, I think, 4 people on the team, right?
Yeah.
You and Damien,
Yeah.
Amir and his partner Pablo,
Yeah.
and was it a 4-key multi-sig?
I don't actually. That's a good question now. But
Yeah, like how many keys
yeah,
were
but
necessary?
there's somewhere out there in the world that
It's
someone's
still sitting out there.
There's a good $1 million out there just sitting
Yeah.
there in a multi-sig. We just somehow find one key. And this is an interesting story that I guess you could say comes up over and over again. Is like lost funds.
lost funds. It's the bane of everyone in crypto.
yeah,
Like every early crypto person has a lost funds story of some kind.
Yeah.
How do you define early? Because the meetup group lost money, right? So the meetup group where I met you, and I'd met other co-founder Damien and Scott and whatnot. Since we had taken charge of the meetup group, myself, for those of you who may know Chris Groshong, who's local here as well, we had a multi-sig, and it was I think it was a 3 of 5 multi-sig, and 3 of us lost the key,
Oh, jeez.
right?
So one more
yeah.
key could be found. You could have that wallet
And
back too.
yeah, and that wall, I think in the 2021 boom, right at the peak, it was worth like 10 grand, which in the grand scheme is not like $1 million like the way Amir had lost, but for a little not-for-profit meetup group that just buys pizza and whatnot, that's huge. Right?
Yeah.
And that's in 2021 numbers.
Yeah. So it's
That's
at least
5x less.
double, triple.
Yep.
So it 50K at this point.
Yeah.
The holiday party we could throw if we could find that one last key.
Yeah.
And that's not that long ago,
Yeah.
right? And it was a multi-sig with the goal of it being like, there's redundancy there. But the thing that I think I learned most about us losing the funds from that multi-sig was mainly because we didn't use the multi-sig. Ironically, it's because we got another sponsor, which was paying for a lot of the food and drink on a regular basis, where
Oh,
we
so
didn't
that's why
need to
we weren't
access
using
the
it.
multi-sig.
Yeah, there's
So
no point.
before we were getting funds in Bitcoin, and we had to spend some out of that wallet. So every single month we were having to spend out of that wallet, right? We'd receive some funds into it, and then we'd spend out of it.
Yeah.
But as soon as we got, I think it was BitRefill as a sponsor, so thanks BitRefill for sponsoring. Thanks, and I'm going to blame them a little bit, right? It's your fault we lost the money. No, because now they were giving us gift cards, right? That
Oh,
we could
you
then
just spend
So
directly.
we never touched the Bitcoin,
Oh.
Yeah.
right? And so myself and one of the other organizers had switched phones. That's when you lose stuff, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
a new phone and you forget to get the key out of the old phone, and
Yeah.
like where the hell did you put the backup? We switched phones, phone got wiped, and yeah, there goes the funds because we just hadn't touched it.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of the whole out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
If you don't use, you lose.
You gotta use it.
So you kind of have to use it and feel like you're.
Well,
you're
that was
touching on a
kind of the
regular.
genesis of the Airbits concept was how do we store funds in a way that's more familiar to people so that we don't have this happen as much.
Exactly. We're trying to reduce that challenge. And also, part of the Airbits concept too, which helps kind of reduce that likelihood of losing, is using. Right? Like, hey, look, here's all the places you can use your
That's
money.
what the merchant directory is about.
Exactly.
Like, Bitcoin's not meant to just sit there. It's meant to be
Exactly.
used as money. That's
Yeah.
why it's
It's
digital.
money.
It's digital cash, right?
Right. And so that's where I felt like I've never lost what I would call my own personal funds. Like, we have testing accounts all the time, right?
Sure,
And I lose
sure.
some funds to that. But like my own personal funds, because I'm actively trying to use them on a regular basis, I don't forget access to it. I know it's there. It's the stuff that just sits idle that
Yeah.
you put in the closet somewhere. It's like, where'd it go? You know, and in 2014, we talked about like the lost Litecoin. I know I'd lost a little bit of, if you remember this old project for anyone out there, MadeSafe.
I
Oh,
remember.
I think
yeah.
I got some of those tokens as well. I think sitting on a wallet in Mycelium. At least that's where the private key was.
Yeah.
And no idea where the backup was after I'd moved out of that house. And so you're right. That is a big focus of ours. Like, hey, let's make key management be much more familiar. And generally speaking, when something's familiar, it's easy, right?
Yep.
Might not be to someone else that's not familiar with it, but if it's familiar to what you've done in the past, that generally makes it a bit easier. So, yeah, I think that was one of our biggest goals, and a lot of people, applauded the effort for sure. And it's been iterated a lot over the time.
Compared to where we were back in the Airbits days, there's a lot more security features added
Oh,
to
yeah.
Edge compared. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
lots
what's
of
been-
assets too.
What's been added since what was added during the Airbits days? So what do we start off with?
The-
Maybe you can recap like
so
the
the
very origin.
first ship of Airbits,
Right.
we had a username and a password, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
That was the only way to log in and unlock your wallet.
So every time you'd start up Airbits, you had to type the full password every time.
Brutal.
Brutal. But
Yeah.
we tried to like run in the background and keep like a thread going that would hold the decryption so
Yeah.
that you reopen it, it wouldn't close, but the phone kept killing that. And
I think that was one of the hard lessons learned right after launch, is that, oh my gosh, phones actually will kill the app easily in the background.
they're like, oh,
And
you're
I
not
think
using it right
You're
now.
not using it, just die. And once you do that, for security, obviously, we lose the keys to decrypt, and therefore you have to re-enter it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. And that was I remember it felt like a mad scramble.
So the very next thing we got back from those conferences, we
Yeah.
had shipped Airbits.
Right.
And the very next thing, it was Las Vegas that we shipped.
Yeah.
As soon as we got back from Vegas, we're like, we're adding a pin to this thing. And
Yep.
so we added pin version 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't
cool.
called pin v1 back then because it was just
It's just
the
pin. Pin. So now you can actually decrypt your account with a pin.
Yeah, so just type a 4-digit pin, you log in.
Got it. Got it.
The next thing we did was two-factor.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think we did that while we were at the
startup
accelerator.
incubator. Yeah,
I
plug and
remember that
play.
was like, hey, we're gonna put two-factor on like encrypted data, which was actually kind of groundbreaking to some degree.
Yeah, no one
at
had
the
done
time.
that before.
Yeah.
I think we had the Bluetooth Sense too before the
We do?
conference. or
Actually, we
was it
shipped it in
after?
V1.
Yeah.
V1 actually had Bluetooth.
Because they were
Sense.
testing that a lot.
That's why it was called Airbits. Because
Yeah,
you could actually
yeah,
send
yeah,
over
there.
the, yeah.
Send it
Actually, I
over,
remember
yeah.
in Vegas, we all went to dinner or lunch or dinner after we went climbing.
Yeah.
And we all paid each other back using Bluetooth. It
Yeah.
was actually a really fun experience.
I remember
we
that.
should bring back Bluetooth again. And I'm sure it's a bit smoother than, we could build smoother, easier things now with the current Bluetooth technology than what we had back then. But it's right. So two-factor we had implemented around the time we were at Plug and Play.
The two-factor worked a little differently in the sense that if you forgot your backup token, it'd be a 1-week reset, and then it would
Right.
just turn two-factor off. Whereas now it's a 1 week, and then you can log in on that device.
Got it, right. And you can only log in only on that device because the two-factor stays on.
Right.
Right, that's like the current two-factor. The old one, it just turns off completely and you can log in.
Yeah.
I remember actually the time when we figured out how we would do our two-factor. I don't know if you remember that.
We were driving up
exactly.
through the Central Valley in the old Honda Civic,
Yep.
old
We're-
beater car.
It was a long drive. It may have actually been it was either Central Valley or coming from a trip in Vegas. I think we went to like CES with Scott, another one of our co-founders.
I thought it was driving up to Plug and Play. You pitched me the
Oh, was it
idea.
then? Yeah, I could be mistaken. It could have been one of those. I just remember it was one of those long drives. And we're like, man, we need two-factor, but how can we do it? We don't want to collect emails and phone numbers.
Right.
The hardest part was the reset, right? Like, how do you reset a two-factor if someone loses the device? And you're like, do it without collecting anything else. And so, time.
Yeah, time.
Yeah, somehow time popped up as we could use time as another factor. And it's lasted to this day, and it's saved a ton of people.
Yeah.
Like it legitimately is, a very good security model. to add to it. So okay, we added that in Airbits.
And I don't remember, when did password recovery come in? Was that part of the original release?
Yeah,
or
was
did
that about part in beta?
I don't think that I don't think we had that in, definitely not the original release,
Okay.
because that was only password,
Yeah.
right? That was the only way to log in.
We must have had password recovery in the original, because I remember like shortly before we shipped the original Airbits, doing kind of a re-architect on everything
okay.
so that the cryptography would work with other login methods. And
Oh,
so
I
we
see.
must have had one other, which I can only think of recovery.
Possibly was, and maybe you could describe what did our original password recovery feel like?
Terrible.
It was terrible. Yeah, you always start with something terrible and iterate over time. I remember. Yeah.
So it was literally another password. The password consisted of the answers to the questions.
Right, and it was a lot of questions.
Yeah, you had to answer like 5 questions,
Right.
letter for letter, perfect. But the idea would be the questions would prompt you to remember sort of this other password, which was
Right.
consisted of the concatenated answers to all those.
Right, so you had 5 or 6 questions, and the answers became one gigantic password. And right, you have one character off, upper or lowercase, and the whole thing didn't
Yeah,
work.
it has to be 100%
Yeah,
right.
and I think we realized this doesn't really,
No, it
this
was
doesn't
not
really
good.
scale, and people wouldn't be able to use it realistically. And I think it was in the Airbits time frame when version 2 eventually
Yeah, so
came out,
Airbits,
right?
Yeah,
Airbits
version
had
2.
recovery version 2 and PIN version 2.
Okay.
So we'd already iterated on both of those concepts within the Airbits time frame.
Okay. What were the main differences now?
So
we
for
iterated?
PIN version 2, the original PIN was very fragile. Like you'd get another phone, it wouldn't be set up. You'd have to like set it up again.
Oh, okay, that's
These
right.
are
It
the
was
grade
tied to
per
just that one device.
Yeah, so we made
Real cool.
PIN version 2 syncable across devices using different cryptography.
Got it. So this is where I could set up a PIN on one device, and I log in on another one, and then that one can use the same PIN.
Exactly.
Right. Got it. Got it.
And
okay.
basically it was the PIN, we can't use that as cryptographic key material because it's so short. Anybody can iterate 10,000 pins in a couple seconds.
10,000, even a million pins, it can iterate those really
Yeah.
quickly. Which, by the way, there are apps out there that do exactly this.
Which is so
They
silly.
literally encrypt with like a 4-digit pin, 6-digit pin, even an 8-digit pin. I think the Andreas, for real old school folks, the Andreas Schildbach wallet, that the like really old Android Bitcoin wallet, open source, did exactly that. You just put in like a pin, and it would encrypt your keys, but just with that pin.
So the way the PIN worked is we have one half of the key stored on the phone, but you can't decrypt anything because it's only half a key. The other half of the key is stored on the server, and you can retrieve this half using the PIN. So the server is able to rate limit you and say, hey,
Got it.
too many tries, you've done more than 7 pins, we're shutting you down.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And then once you've retrieved the second half from the server, put them together, you can decrypt. Server
Got
can't
it.
decrypt, doesn't have anything, it only has half a key. You can't
Yeah.
decrypt.
'Cause
But
you
as
only
soon
have
as you,
half the
as soon as you enter the PIN, the 2 apps come together, and now you can decrypt.
And I think we do that in a way such that Edge doesn't even know what the pin is.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't
right.
know what the PIN is.
Right,
That's
we hash the pin. So if you use, like, for example, your birthday all the time as your pin,
Yeah.
and you might think, oh shoot, Edge now knows my pin
we
that
don't
I
even
use
know
for
the
my
pin.
ATM card, and but actually we don't.
Yeah.
You know, we cryptographically don't know what it
The
is.
same thing for the username. We
Yeah.
don't know your
Yeah,
username.
we actually hash the username. That's just scrypt. So we could theoretically brute force
Force
that
it.
if we wanted to spend the GPU on it.
Right.
And then the PIN, actually, we can't even brute force that because that first half of the key, we actually use that to do an HMAC on the PIN.
Which is unreversible.
It's
Yeah,
unreversible,
it's
right?
unreversible. Yep. Very
So
cool.
as long as SHA-256 says not broken, we're good to
Right.
go.
Yep. Definitely love the use. We're not cryptographers in the sense of building new cryptography,
No,
right?
no.
But the use of the cryptography in Edge is very novel, unique, and pretty powerful. So, and that we have to thank William for. He's definitely the genius behind
Well,
a
you
lot
were
of the
the one
usage
with
of
the
our.
original ideas, and you just said, make this happen. And
I remember writing the original like paper of how this is going to happen, and when you finally came up with what we shipped, I'm like, wow, this is so much better, way more flexible, and can do way more things with it, right? Than the original idea, which is very bare bones, username and password, encrypt the keys, right? You added more layers to that to enable things that, well, thank God you did, because I think we didn't realize what we were going to need in the future, but it was forward thinking enough so that we could enable different methods of unlocking the account. That was one of the big things. I'm like, oh wow, that is going to be pretty valuable. So we don't just have just a username and password that can unlock our account. We can have a PIN. We can have password recovery in other ways, and so that could enable things like social recovery in the future with other users being able to unlock the account. And so, very grateful for that tweak from my original just idea spew, before the company came together.
And
Very
then
cool.
the other thing we added was recovery version 2, which works the same way. You have half a key.
Right.
The server has the answers. It can reveal the second half of the key if you provide the correct answers. But
Right.
instead of storing this first half in your phone, we store it in your email. So if somebody hacks
yeah,
your
that's right.
email, they can get this half a key, but it's no good because they need the stuff from the server.
Still need the
If they
answers.
hack our server, it's no good. They need the key from the email.
right.
Bring the two together, you can log in.
Got it.
So that's why our recovery requires you to send yourself an email. There's actually a cryptographic key in there that unlocks the account.
And that's you sending yourself one, not Edge sending you one.
That's right.
That's a big thing that people say, oh, wait, you're going to send me an email? No, we're not.
We don't even know your email.
You'll send yourself. And really, we're just trying to put it in some storage that you have access to. It's like semi-secure storage.
Yeah,
Right? Email is
so-
what called like semi-secure storage.
So basically, when you go through the recovery setup, it opens up your email app on your phone with your, so send it to yourself.
So for a lot of people, if you do set up password recovery, there's a chance that where you look isn't in your inbox, it's in your sent. Because sometimes like some email program, I think Gmail even does it doesn't show what you send to yourself in your inbox. It only shows it in your sent. So look there, which I think the search can find anything. But you'd mentioned like, it's not good enough to have just what the key that's on our server. It's not good enough just to have the email. And even if they had the email and they knew the answers, you'd still get locked out.
There's still two-factor on top of
There's
that.
still two-factor,
There you go.
exactly.
You can still be locked.
And so we'd built quite a bit of stuff over the years. This iteration has been, you can see how it, you really start learning over time what works well enough, but what you could tweak and what you can
And then did
improve on.
Airbits have biometric, or was that an Edge edition?
I think it had it, but I think it had it definitely after we had first shipped, for sure. It became, let's see, what was the first phone that had biometric?
Like iPhone 6, 5?
Was it 6 or
It
5?
sounds right to me, but I never
Yeah.
had an iPhone back then. I was
Yeah,
Android.
it was maybe it was 6.
And I remember like the Nexus devices had fingerprint, like Nexus
Yeah.
5 or 6.
I remember we didn't have fingerprint on Android for a while. It was only iPhone until I remember being in a tiny little hotel in Germany coming from a meetup where I actually met Thomas, who wrote Electrum.
Yeah, I remember Thomas.
Yeah, and
Tom
a bunch of
Baker.
people approached me. Oh, not Thomas Baker.
Oh,
he
different.
worked for us, but
Okay.
another Thomas. I can't remember his last name, but he's the one that wrote Electrum.
Okay.
Right,
Okay, okay,
the wallet, right, which is still alive and well today.
Yeah,
ironic.
there's
It's like in the
different
era of multi-bit,
versions, yep.
but is actually widely used because
Yeah.
all the forks of Bitcoin, fork
Litecoin,
Electrum.
Dogecoin.
Exactly, they all
Yep.
fork
To Electrum.
Electrum. But at that meetup, I think 2 people had mentioned, it's like, oh, how come I can't use biometric on Android?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, we haven't put that together yet. And then at the hotel, I remember looking at like, what does it take to get this up and running, and throwing something together just like as a proof of concept. I'm like, oh, okay, we can make this happen.
Yeah.
It's going to take work to get it cleaned up and tidied up and shipped and made sure it's secure and code reviewed. But I'm like, we should just get this out there. And I think within a few releases, we finally had biometric on Android.
Yeah, and I think I remember some challenges that were like crash on fingerprint.
Oh, to this
We
day,
still have
that.
we still
still
have
have
crash on
rarely.
fingerprint.
We
It's-
do, depending on what.
Very rarely we'll see one come through our bug tracker.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's.
And it's
Android
always
is so-
Samsungs.
Yeah.
Usually all our problems are with the random like Huawei.
Huawei device, Chinese devices.
But Samsung's of all things.
For fingerprint. For
You would
some
think
reason.
Samsung would work smoother, but
yeah.
yeah, that is a bit of a challenge. So if anyone does have any problems with fingerprint, let us know what Samsung device you have, if you do.
We'll buy the phone and get it fixed.
Yeah, I think I remember we actually bought the phone of a user that was having a problem.
Yeah.
We
did.
bought their phone, bought the account. Said, yeah, if you could send us your phone, we'll get this thing fixed. And actually, that specific crash, we actually did get fixed.
We did.
They sent us the phone over mail. We were able to reproduce the thing in a debugger, and boom, got it fixed. And so, fortunately, they were still able to get into the account without fingerprint, take the funds out, so the funds
It's
weren't
already
at
up
risk.
to you. Yeah.
Right. And so we're open to that. We want to fix these hard to fix issues, but we got to be able to reproduce them. Yeah. All right.
So that's
else do we
the
do?
story of Airbits,
Yeah,
basically.
that's Airbits. Yeah, before we became Edge.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How about a transition as like what made us go?
Yeah, because this is
from-
Edge's
Yeah,
birthday. right?
exactly,
We should
yeah.
be talking about Edge.
What made
Yeah, we
us go
went to-
from Airbits to Edge, and then like what features? And I think I remember like kind of early between Airbits and Edge, is like the idea of supporting the shit coins, right? Which was it wasn't
At the time,
popular
everything
back
was a
then.
shitcoin. I know.
Yeah. Like there was this whole war like being Bitcoin maximus versus like add Litecoin, Dogecoin, and like
Yeah.
create that.
It's funny
ecosystem.
because Litecoin is now so old and so venerable. It's like
know.
that is the OG. Like, well, okay, Bitcoin's the OG, but like it's still really early days.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it
now-
is.
Back
Really.
then it was so. It's like Litecoin. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who cares about Litecoin?
Even
but
Dogecoin's
it's
kind
one of the
OG. It's
survivals.
2014, right?
Yeah.
Dogecoin's 2014.
Dogecoin's pretty OG.
Yeah.
Litecoin's very OG, and they've kind of stood the test of time. They're still in the top 50, top 20, and just still being relevant. I think what is it? Litecoin I think exceeds all other assets in BitPay payments.
Yeah.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, like
For
the
BitPay.
number,
Well,
maybe not
it's
the dollar
cheaper
value.
cheaper on the
It's
fees.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of
And
people have it.
It's not hard to swap from Bitcoin.
And a lot of people that have Litecoin, I find that a lot of people that have assets other than Bitcoin, and maybe Ethereum too, actually want to use them.
Yeah.
They really take pride in using it.
Well, that's actually something that I've noticed myself is we got that snack bar over there.
Yeah,
I
that's right.
never buy snacks in Bitcoin. I don't want to
Yeah.
spend a $3 fee
Yeah,
to buy
exactly.
a $1 candy bar. It's silly.
Yep. You know, I'm using Monero and Zeno on that thing, so I also don't necessarily want the addresses sitting there knowing everything that, you know, I do with my balance, you
Yeah.
know, on a privacy point of view.
Privacy.
Privacy. We got
Oh,
we
yeah.
got to blow the horn every time we
know.
hear the word privacy.
I know,
Oh,
we
we said it
haven't,
again.
probably haven't even talked about it yet, you know, that being one of the big focuses. Yep. Yeah, so, yeah, the transition, gosh. I'm trying to remember the
Well, there were
impetus.
two motives for this. One is we were building a new app on a new technology stack.
Yeah.
Right.
So
It's
it's
a
worth
full
mentioning.
rewrite.
Yeah.
There was a React Native, right?
Yeah, Airbits and Edge share no code. They share the server.
Right.
The server's the same for both apps,
Yeah.
but the code that runs on the phone is completely new for both.
Right. And if you think about trying to rewrite your entire app from scratch as a startup, you know, about
Two
two years in,
Without
It's-
much revenue?
without much, actually almost barely, because Airbits could barely make any revenue, barely made any, made a little bit.
Well, there was no swap in Airbits because you don't have
Yeah.
two assets to swap
Yeah, or you
between.
could just like buy
There's
and
no
sell.
swap.
Yeah.
There was,
Yeah.
there was one buy and sell method.
Yeah,
Right.
like that, right?
Cloudera was in there. We were the first wallet in history to integrate buy and sell into the wallet. It was something we had a vision. I go, this is going to be valuable. Every wallet does it now.
Yeah, everybody,
right?
yeah.
Like we had that vision, and we partnered with a company whose founder is now the CEO of Kraken.
Yeah.
Ironically, right? But
Yeah.
and so yeah, there wasn't a lot of revenue there. And to rewrite an entire app this is a absolute make it or break it. Like either we're going to sink the ship because we tried to rebuild it while on it. It's like
Yep.
it's like trying to rebuild a ship while you're
Yeah.
literally sailing with it. Or it's actually going to work out. It'll actually be an app that fits the market better, and we're able to get it out into the market and make money with it.
Yeah.
And it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. No, it did. It was.
So
very
yeah,
happy
that was the
rebrand.
first motivation is here comes Airbits coming along, it's still working, we can keep doing releases, keep doing fixes while Edge is coming alongside and we're building that up.
Right.
Yeah, in parallel.
So we're like, what are we gonna call it? Like Airbits and then Airbits 2? Like that doesn't,
That was an idea. Airbits 2.0, but
Yeah.
but then having those sit side by side in the App Store, it's like, which one
Yeah.
do I install? It's so confusing.
it is.
Yeah.
I know some people say, well, why don't you just simply replace it with that one? And I remember, I think because it was such a large undertaking, there were just some features that were going to have to die in at least the first release.
Yeah,
First
it's
two,
like
three,
Airbits
four.
works, you can store funds in it, but it may not have buy and sell that, or sorry, Edge.
Edge, right,
Yeah,
right.
Edge works, it's being released, but doesn't have the buy and sell integrated, so you
Won't
still
have
want to
buy and
keep Airbits
sell.
for your buy and sell.
Yeah, the buy and sell wouldn't initially work. I think also there were obviously like the Bluetooth feature,
Bluetooth
the
didn't-
merchant
Yeah, that's
directory.
cool. No more
you're right.
directory.
So it'd lose so much stuff that we wanted to make it a separate app until we kind of phased people into Edge over time. You know, so that was one impetus, right? It was like, we were rebuilding the app.
Right.
Other motivations.
But we had been using the term edge security to refer to Airbits' architecture in the sense that the security occurs not on the server, like we're not trusting Google or
Right.
Amazon or some large corporation to keep our data safe
Yeah.
and
Right.
private.
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah.
Edge of the network.
Private.
All the privacy, oh shoot. all the
That'll be ours.
all the privacy occurs on the user's phone, which we
Right.
would say is the edge of the network.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
off on the side. It's not this central server. It's on the edge.
Yep. And the way you've heard the term like edge computing, which kind of in the same sense means computing at the edges of the network, not in the central server. It's these little devices, out and about. And so that was, I think, our goal in the security model.
Yeah.
And one might say, well, that's like every wallet. You go, yeah, but every wallet isn't really securing data.
Well, I mean,
Right,
that's not
it kind
every
of-
wallet, though. I mean, Coinbase people use as a wallet, and
Oh,
it's
yeah,
storing
for
it
sure.
centrally on the server, and you're trusting Coinbase.
Fully trusting them, exactly.
All your information, all your funds.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if Coinbase actually has all the money they say they have. I mean, who can say?
Actually, yeah, you can't, because a lot of people say like, oh, well, they could provide, the public addresses to show and audit how much they have, proof of reserves, they
Yeah,
say.
proof
Yeah.
of reserve.
But people forget that an audit is two-sided. It's how much do you have and how much are you supposed to have?
So if they say, look, we have proof that we have $2 billion in our vault, great, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. but they were supposed to have 4. But how would you know they were supposed to have 4 unless
Exactly.
you could see
Audit, like, all the
everybody's
customers.
individual balances?
Exactly, and exposing everyone's individual balances is probably going to be a bit of a problem. Although I think it's possible. There's no one does it, where you just have like a giant website that shows everyone's a hash of an account number and the balance, and everyone can look up their account and go, yep, that's how much I have, and it adds up exactly to the amount of Bitcoin they hold. But nobody does this.
Yeah.
So you're
You
right.
can't never trust
Secure.
the centralized.
You don't, and so. So edge security, we're securing data at the edges of the network.
Right.
And I think when they say like, oh, well, aren't other wallets doing that? I think the argument that people would make to me is like, yeah, I'm holding my keys on my device. I go, right, but that's it. It's just your keys. There's no other data that you're securing.
Yeah.
Whereas we became more of a platform to secure not just your keys, but any data that gets put into
Well, that's
the
worth
app.
mentioning. Why does Airbits and Edge, for that matter, have a server in the first place? And that's if you lose your phone, everything is backed up.
Right.
But the backups are encrypted, so it's such that if you get a new phone, you can retrieve them and decrypt them, but we cannot.
Yeah. It's not unlike using cloud storage, but encrypting it first on your computer, which ironic, if you look at the forums from back in 2013, a lot of people said that is one method for you to back up your keys, right? But they say never put it unencrypted, make sure you encrypt it, and then, okay, here's also the key that you use to encrypt to make sure it's strong. Don't lose that because you can't, there's no other way to recover it. Don't lose the credentials to log into your cloud provider because then you could also lose it, right? So we just tied it all
Took
together.
all that and bundled it together.
Bundle it into one app, exactly.
So there's nothing wrong with that model. I mean, okay, nothing's perfect, right?
Absolutely. There's always compromises in every model, and it's about like, what's the balance of usability, security, threat to attack.
In a world of trade-offs and things that are kind of sucky in one way versus another, I feel like the model we landed on was pretty good.
Yeah.
And that was in Airbits, and we wanted to preserve that to Edge, so that's why the login servers stayed the same, but the app itself was rebuilt from the ground up to be multi-currency.
Right. So now we can actually provide edge security across multiple different assets.
Yeah.
And admittedly, by the time, what was the first point when we started thinking about doing that? 2017-ish?
For like the
We started
multi-asset?
talking. Edge, when we started
yeah.
thinking about, even remotely thinking about rewriting the app from
Yeah.
scratch. I don't know if it dates back as early as 2016.
I think maybe late 2016.
Maybe late
It sounds
2016.
more
Yeah.
right to me.
Because
Yeah,
we didn't
late-
have the Acapulco conference with the launch of Edge. Was that 2018
That was
or
18,
20?
yeah.
Okay, that was
That was
18.
20. Yeah, so like Edge's birthday, right? So we're at 7 years, and
Yeah.
so that would have been late
So
2018,
2018, right?
2018.
late
Yeah.
2018,
Yeah.
and we had spent, 2018 building it, and then a chunk of 2017, I believe, was
Yeah.
also building Edge.
Probably
It took a
planning.
while. Definitely took a while.
Yeah.
And in that process, in that time frame, I think that's when like Ethereum definitely took off.
Yeah. That's when we were testing a lot of tokens on Ethereum as well as XRP and Monero too.
Yeah, exactly. Monero as well. I remember
Yeah.
Monero was one of the earliest assets we
I
added
think
to
we
Edge.
were the first multi-asset wallet
To incorporate
support
Monero.
Monero
Yeah.
and XRP.
Yeah, we did them almost at the same time, and I remember our volumes notably shot up.
Yeah.
When we had both of them because there was a good high demand for them. But yeah, there was really almost no way for us to add multiple assets into Airbits without really huge amount of work.
Yeah.
There's no way to add them to Airbits without a massive rewrite, which
Like, well,
we did.
We just ended up doing the massive rewrite. Yeah, we just ended up doing the massive rewrite and just calling it something else. And so yeah, there you have it. Now a whole bunch of different assets that we support across, gosh, dozens of different chains. But it started with that initial rewrite, which was admittedly scary. Like, are we going to get to the finish line with this?
Yeah.
Didn't quite know. Ran into some pretty major hurdles with like getting Bitcoin to work,
Yep.
getting like the core ported over to a completely new language. But we survived and thrived through it. And
Yep.
so
Yeah.
happy we made that transition. A lot of people also love the branding. We got really good feedback, like, oh, I love this a lot more than like Airbits, which,
I mean, I'm rocking
Yeah.
the old
Yeah.
the old
Yeah,
classic.
right.
I know. I think mine are all completely faded. I wore them out.
I think I
But,
still have one more that's more OG than that one, the blue one.
I
The blue
I
one?
actually had in my drawer one
Yeah,
of the blue
I
ones.
picked that one.
I
Oh, the
should have
original,
I
that's
should
right.
have grabbed
That's
that one out,
original.
but
Yeah, the very
that
first
one wasn't looking quite as pristine as this
It's
one.
probably
No,
faded.
yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
My blue one is totally shredded. It's tore up. Maybe I'll have a reprint done just for nostalgia's sake. Of that original blue one. Yeah, running around town to the different print shops when we had no marketing and ops team. Like that was me.
Yeah, that would be fun. If you have
Yep.
an Airbits account that can be proven created back in the day,
You can get
you
Airbits
get
swag.
an Airbits shirt.
So what is it? I think 2 years ago at Acapulco, I showed up and they go, "We're going to make an NFT of you, Paul, and we'd like to know if we can raffle off for a good cause."
Yeah.
They're like, some old swag that's of value.
I remember this
right?
one, yeah.
And so we actually raffled off to a winner. Actually, it wasn't a raffle. It was a auction.
Auction, yeah.
So someone
It was-
actually went
bid
and
it.
wanted to bid to
Yep.
pay for all old Airbit swag. Like an old Airbits, like it was the button-up shirt. I don't know if we had a jacket in there or no, the hoodie.
Yeah, the
old
hoodie.
little hoodie that we
Oh,
had.
yeah.
All these stickers, the mugs. Someone paid $1,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
to get all the old Airbit swag,
Yeah.
which we didn't even have at the conference. We had to mail it to them.
And wait, was it $1,000 in cash or $1,000 in Bitcoin?
It was $1,000, and I'm not sure how the conference collected it. It was some form of crypto.
Because that might
Yeah.
be worth a lot more than
It's
$1,000.
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, it's okay to spend. You just buy back.
Yeah.
Right? Spend, buy back.
Yeah,
Spend,
always buy back your Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay to spend. Now you just spread the Bitcoin to more than you. Someone else has got it, and you've got some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Spend, buy back. But yeah, maybe that old Airbit swag will be highly valuable over time, such as like
This
the one that
old
you've got.
mug here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we brought this to the New York conference 2014, probably also Toronto.
Yeah.
And as I was mentioning before the podcast started, it unofficially won best swag at the conference because no one had seen these carabiner mugs yet at the time. And I was still what I would
Yeah.
call a climber at the time, so
Yeah, I like
this
carabiner
fit my vibe, at least back then. Now, out of shape climber.
So yeah, Edge exists. It's launched. Have you added anything new since we launched Edge?
I'm sure we've added a bunch. Gosh, what do we? Definitely a bunch of
like
assets.
it's asset.
Yeah.
Exchange.
Partners.
Lots.
When we
plugins.
launched, I don't think we actually had swaps.
I don't think we had swaps. I think the very
I think
first
we did with Shapeshift.
On day one?
Shapeshift.
Yeah, because we could swap into XRP and Monero.
Was it available on day one?
Yeah, I remember at the conference, like you could at least swap.
Okay, maybe we
Yeah.
had Shapeshift already by then. I know we had known Shapeshift for quite some time.
Yeah.
So maybe we had already prioritized getting Shapeshift in there. That launch though didn't have XRP and Monero until I think around June of
Yeah.
2018. So it got added super quick after we had launched, like February, March, April, May, June, like 3 months.
Okay,
right?
yeah, not exactly at launch, but like afterwards, yeah. Like I meant like
Yeah.
the conference.
Yep. So anyway, I think we've grown from there from asset support, and gosh, we've tackled some of the toughest assets to get in.
Yeah, like
Moner-
Zcash.
like Monero.
Monero was in there.
as
and
a
I'm-
light wallet.
Right, and I remember both of us have had to deal with the Monero hard forks
Yep.
over the course of the next few years after we first integrated Monero, which are some of the biggest challenges we've had. When they hard fork, they do it hard. It's not easy fork.
Oh, was it harder than the Bitcoin
Oh my
Cash
gosh.
fork
A different way.
Well,
get their
Bitcoin Cash was like
Copy
30
pasta.
lines of code to make some
Okay.
op return stuff and a special
Yeah.
script, and then that was
Yeah.
enough to fork the coins.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then for Monero, it's like, okay, we got to update the last 2 years worth of library code.
Oh, dang.
And it's in difficult to understand language, C++.
You know,
which-
it's funny we say that. It's difficult to understand because the whole Airbits was written in
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But then now that we're all written in TypeScript and React Native, it's
It is difficult now.
like going
Yep.
back in time.
But even then, still dealing with C++, even though we were accustomed to it, it's still a hard language. And dealing with someone else's C++, like we
I
had
feel
to
like
with
that's
Monero.
the hard thing about C++ is that it's like
Someone
everyone
else.
has their own dialect.
Yeah, they speak their own little like quirky, lingo within the code, and so it was hard. And then incorporating other privacy coins, like
Oh, yeah.
Zcash.
Yeah, privacy.
Yep, we do care about privacy. So like incorporating Zcash, I think I'd first talked to Zuko Wilcox in 2018, like right after we launched Edge.
Was that like when
At,
we went to Chile?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I remember he was there too.
He seeked me out. He goes, "Oh, I want to talk to you, Paul, about something." And I was like, "Yeah, what does it take to get Zcash added to Edge?"
I remember our old office didn't have a very well sealed off conference room.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you could hear you on the phone talking to the Zcash people. We need the keys to work like this. and
It was the old one, right?
Yep.
It was like a closet.
Oh yeah, we literally converted a closet into a conference room that could fit 2 people max.
Yeah.
And we've crammed 4 people in it, just like a sweaty. It might as well have been, a sauna.
Yeah.
At that point. But yeah, that was our ad hoc conference closet, is what we would call it. And so, very happy to have upgraded a bit to a comfortable 10, 12 seating person office now. But yeah, I remember talking to Zuko in that closet a couple times, and he really wanted us to get Zcash in. And at the time, it would have been, Zcash with the privacy of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
Yeah, the shielded, unshielded thing.
yeah, and admittedly, I unfairly gave him a harder time than I have other privacy coins like Pivx,
Yeah.
which, and Firo, which has the shielded, unshielded, and I said, I want to put it in Zcash, but I want to put it in full privacy mode,
Yeah.
right? Like meaning it is not going to support transparent, or if it is, it's like the afterthought, and it just automatically goes into shielded. But there was no SDK to support shielded.
Yeah.
And if I remember, like the first implementation could take a minute to create a transaction, on a desktop computer. So they iterated, and I think it was, actually I talked to him before Chile, and it wasn't until Chile where he was like, hey, I think we finally got something that can work on mobile. It's fast enough, it'll take like 5-ish seconds on a slow device to create a transaction. And then they started working on the SDK, and that was still years before we got it live.
Yeah.
I remember meeting the team working on the Android SDK in Chicago when I went there for a meetup. Matt, one of the devs on our team, was in numerous conversations with them to try to architect, like, okay, well, here's the API we need to talk to the SDK. And probably took 2 years, I think, before we finally shipped. What was it, 2021?
Yeah.
Or so?
With Zcash.
With Zcash?
Yeah, there was like, I think, even after.
Maybe
the
2022?
2022, I think.
Yeah, we actually didn't get a grant to integrate Zcash.
Yeah.
We did it entirely on our own.
Yeah.
And so it was probably 2 years in the works, not continuously, obviously on and off.
2 years on and off.
2 years on and off. We'd try something, wouldn't work, throw it over the fence, wait a few months, back and forth before we finally got it shipped. And I think we were one of very few, like maybe one of 2 wallets that had actual shielded support, at the time we launched.
Or actually, Paul, you're right. 2021, but November.
Oh,
so
November.
Towards November
all right.
21st.
November 21st, 2021. It's
Yeah.
almost a birthday of Zcash support.
So that's when
We're
Zcash got
less
added.
than a month away. Yeah, that was a tough one for sure.
Yeah.
That was I think you can attest that. You work on a lot of the low level, like C-ish code.
I didn't really work on the Zcash one originally.
Originally, yes, but we realized we had challenges getting it to work.
I definitely reworked that code a few times.
When we get like new libraries,
Yeah.
new updates to it. Yeah. So yeah, that was the second privacy coin that we added.
Yeah.
And then the next shortly after, well, not shortly, but relatively speaking, was Pirate Chain.
Right.
Yeah.
Since they were basically the Zcash architecture. And I think we took that on thinking that, we could just use the same code.
But it wasn't the same code.
Boy, did we make, or at least maybe I did, make the mistake of thinking that the code would be reusable. But, the SDK of Zcash is very, very tied to the blockchain of Zcash, not to the, the protocol. And so that ended up having to be another block of code that we can go through the rigmarole of. Actually, it was harder to get it working in some senses because it would collide.
They would collide. They would try to write to the same database because they hadn't have modified their.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
especially the
forked the
conflicts.
code, but it was very similar. It was too similar. So that was another, almost a year effort. Might have been like a year-long effort
Yep.
before we got Pirate Chain up and running.
And it was kind of like on and off too.
And it works on and off. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nodes go up, they go down, or things
Yeah.
are slow.
Or one's up, when iOS is up, Android's down, or vice versa.
Because they'll collide again with Zcash,
Yeah.
and then we'll have to take it down and bring it back up. And so we do our best. But it is a struggle.
And now
know.
we've got Xano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might have been one of the smoother of all of the, although it was still hard, relative to the challenges we've had with Monero and the challenges that we've had with Zcash and Pirate Chain. That, I know you at least discovered a more elegant way to get it integrated that made it simpler. So yeah,
a
we
lot
got
of the
Xano live.
efforts we put into reworking Zcash at one point ended up being directly applicable to Xano.
Perfect. So yeah, hopefully it becomes easier over time to get privacy chains on, although they are a ton of work. So hopefully you guys appreciate the work that we've gone through to get that up and running.
Privacy chains.
Yeah. The horn's getting weak. Yep.
Yeah, does this thing even work anymore?
Now,
Okay,
yeah,
just
there
gotta
we
blow
go.
harder.
Yeah.
Mine
That's
doesn't
right.
work.
Oh yeah, it's still working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Privacy. We keep honking,
Oh,
but
shoot.
we keep honking when we say the word, but we haven't really talked about it much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of one of the challenges that we have accepted, in our app, because there are challenges in building an app that's focused on, making things private.
Well, I think that's something else that's probably worth mentioning. That's an additional challenge that Edge is dealing
Yeah.
with. You know the movie The Princess Bride?
Oh, one of
Yeah.
my favorites of all
Yeah,
time.
Yeah, there's that epic sword fight, and
Yep.
then halfway through the fight, he's like,
Yeah.
well, I know something you
Yeah,
do not
no.
know. I am not left-handed. And he
Yeah,
switches the
exactly.
sword to the right hand, and all of a sudden he's fighting twice.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Sometimes secrets can be to your advantage.
yeah, so we are in a way fighting with our left hand behind our back
Oh my gosh,
because we actually don't have a centralized blockchain server here at Edge.
Right.
So for most, I'm not going to say most, that's a very broad generalization, but many decentralized wallets where you own your own keys will still have a central server that has your addresses that's scanning for transactions for you.
Right.
And they know what all their customers' funds are because they just, well, there's 10 million people who have signed up for our app, and we can enumerate all their accounts and check all their balances, which we do to send that information down to the phone. And the phone's kind of dumb. It just says, hey, server, what's my balance?
Right. And the only thing the phone has is the private key to sign a transaction.
Right.
But otherwise, the phone doesn't do anything. It has no work that it really has to do other than sign a transaction. And for some of them, they might even use the server to create a transaction, right? And then just simply sign it on the client on your phone.
Which is really nice for the company because they can just have one big piece of infrastructure that deals with all the blockchain stuff. And if they've got a glitch on a chain, they just go ahead and edit their central server.
Right. And you don't have to deal with updating an app.
Right.
Every single time something breaks or changes and whatnot on one of the many different chains. And so but we operate a little differently.
Directly talks to the blockchain for every chain that we support.
Right.
Or we make our best effort to do as much of that as we can.
Right. And that presents better privacy, obviously. That's why we do it, right? Woo! But it is a huge challenge in understanding what users are running into. Like, we can't see when someone's quote-unquote account is missing a transaction because we can't see it on a central server.
Yeah, it's like, hey, my Zcash wallet's behind. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Z, right?
Yeah.
It's talking to the blockchain, and we don't know. We don't see it.
Yeah, instead it becomes more of a troubleshooting, a remote troubleshooting, where we're talking to the user, trying to ask them what do they see in the app, because we can't see that. We can't see what they see on the app. The average Silicon Valley, mobile app has incredible amount of tracking in it, where they can practically watch you use the app as you're swiping and scrolling and tapping. It's practically a video. There's actually SDKs you can put into apps that will send a video of everything they're doing.
Wow.
Right? It's basically taking screenshots every few seconds, and you can see every motion through the entire app. That's like as an absolute no-no as you can ask for, from a company like Edge. Like, no way we're doing that. But that presents. You'd mentioned the challenge on the technical side, right? It's hard for us to troubleshoot when everything happens on the phone. It's also a challenge on the growth side.
We don't know what our customer base is like.
Yeah, we don't know who was using our app, and we don't know what they're running into, what they like, what they dislike, which buttons they're using, right, to get from one part of the app to another. Hey, do they like using the bottom nav bar, or do they want to use the side menu? Are they tapping on the side menu, looking and like going, oh, it's not there, let me look here. So being able to see the story of how someone interacts with the app is very valuable from a improve the user experience, but obviously a huge privacy breach. So
we don't do that.
We don't do it.
That's our principle. We won't do it. We don't do it.
And so we kind of have to kind of ask people and have you guys tell us. So in a way, a lot of our user experience study comes from asking people, or what you guys tell us through like our support team or email.
Yeah.
But even with that, we have to be a little careful because the people who call support may not be the typical users.
They might be the people that just generally struggle with like mobile devices, and so we always have to like take that with a grain of salt. It's like, oh, we got 10 people calling about this problem, but is that what most people
are? Those the 10 people who couldn't figure it out and 1,000 succeeded, or is it that everybody can't figure it out?
Yeah, they're just a sample of everyone else. So that is, definitely the heart of challenge of running an app with just almost like no telemetry, no tracking. But we do it because we believe in that as a purpose. That is kind of one of the missions, and visions. We don't really talk about that. What's the mission and vision of what we're trying to build? Yeah. What's our purpose?
Yeah.
What are we trying to transform in this world?
Yeah.
How would you answer that if you had to give a one or two liner?
What is Edge's mission as a company?
Yeah. Maximize privacy, and we don't want to know anything about you.
Yeah. I'd like to think at its core, which is like the origins of Bitcoin, it's an aspect of financial freedom.
Yeah,
right?
financial freedom.
But that's pretty broad. What does it mean to be financially free? Some people will say, oh, it just means I have a lot of money. I got a lot of money, I'm financially free. I do whatever the hell I want.
I've got $20 million in Wells Fargo. I'm good to go.
Exactly.
I think it's more of like to be able to spend your money how and when you want to without restrictions. That like if you want to, you can't withdraw $20,000, $100,000 cash at the bank today. You have to make an appointment, a reservation.
Yep.
With crypto, you can take out how much money ever you want and send it anywhere. I think we sent to Cuba before, right? Like there's no
the fungibility of your money, and actually, for the most part, a lot of people accept that Bitcoin is pretty censorship resistant. I can send it to whoever I want.
Yeah.
But a lot of blockchains, and potentially Bitcoin in the future, will run into the problem of like, well, miners could censor transactions.
Yeah.
And I think some already do.
Yeah,
actually,
with
definitively, some
stable
already
coins.
do. And because they know what the transaction is, they know the source, they know the destination, they know the amount, they can use that as a mechanism to censor.
Yeah.
And so I think the reason why we've had this stronger than average focus on privacy protocols, this goes to the ones that
is
prevent
to
that
secure
level.
that financial freedom.
Exactly, because that when no one knows who you are sending to and how much you are sending, you aren't going to be the target of censorship because you're mixed along with everyone else that's just transacting.
Yeah, You're not a red flag.
Yeah, you're not a red flag. Well, you're a red flag if you're the only one using that protocol. Right? If you're the only one using Monero, you're a red flag.
Yeah.
So I like to say, in order to make all of us not red flags, and we don't want to be the only 3 people using Monero, we got to get everyone and their mom
Well,
using
who
Monero.
says I'm using Monero or not?
Exactly, or not, right? But if you have 2 million, 3 million other people using it on a regular basis, then it's, there's no red flag there. Everyone's just using it for their own purposes. And so I think it ties into, if that's our mission, how do we get to it? How do we drive adoption of privacy protocols? You got to make it easy.
Yeah.
And that's our big goal. And I think if you look at a lot of the privacy-focused apps out there in crypto, that's where we really start to shine.
Yeah.
Is that we can actually support them with an experience that the barista down the street can use that doesn't care anything about.
and
There's
it
really
feels
no
familiar.
difference in edge of using Monero versus any of the other chains that we support.
Right. Yeah, it feels very similar. And the true litmus test is, it still does feel different, but the North Star is we want Edge to feel like you're using TradFi,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But
so
without the
familiar.
censorship of TradFi, without the KYC of TradFi.
Without the tracking and the
right, with all
censorship.
the tracking. That's when you get the normies that are stuck on Venmo,
Yeah.
right? And a regular bank account. And so, I'd love to see the day that's what the normies are all using, right? Apps like Edge and Edge itself,
Yeah.
And so we'll get there as people start adopting, payments, use.
I feel if you think
crypto.
about Edge as like a stool, we've got 3 legs that we're standing
Yeah.
on. And one is, it's got to be easy enough that it's usable. If we're hard to use and we're like a weird specialist high-end tool, we're not meeting our objective. That was never what we started the company to do.
Yeah, it's not for just like the privacy maxis, but it's for everyone to gain the benefits.
And then the funds need to be safe.
Right.
And that would be our security model.
The 2FA, the password recovery, the IP validation,
The backup.
all of that.
Because it's not just safe from a theoretical attacker, but also safe from you doing what we just did to ourselves, losing our...
we could all attest to having
yourself
lost
out.
money, right? And so, I stopped losing crypto when I started using Edge.
so we've got to have it easy, we've got to have it safe, and then secrecy.
And you have privacy. Yep.
Like at least we as a company do not know. Now, this privacy of the chain, that's the chain's business, right? But
Yeah.
at least we ourselves are not going to compromise to the extent that we cannot.
Right.
Yeah, or
That's
maximize
our
And there's
big
a
goal.
few things that we end up knowing, like if you do a swap or a buy or a sell, that all gets reported, and unfortunately we know that.
Yeah, we'll know that.
Yeah.
Our goal, though, one of the biggest things is to say that even if we know that a transaction hit one of our swap partners from someone using Edge, we don't actually know what account.
Yeah,
did.
we don't know anything about
That's
the
actually where
user.
we draw this very hard line.
Yeah.
Right? The minimal amount of stuff that we would know, because we're going to know anyway because you use some service that's tied to us with like an affiliate ID that's tied to us. We'll know that anyway, but neither us nor the partner can tell what account that is.
Yeah, what specific user.
Yeah, and
Right.
so there could be 100 transactions that hit, let's say a partner like Xlix or like Thorchain, which is actually a
Well,
decentralized
DeFi
exchange.
is, I was going to talk about that.
Yeah. So they could hit any of those, but those 100 transactions, we wouldn't be able to tell if that's 100 different people or one person doing 100 transactions, with the exception of like, okay, is the destination address the same or source address the same if it's a transparent chain? And so with the exception of that, like blockchain analytics, we don't have clear evidence that this is the same user.
So we just log into our DeFi account and we see that so much revenue is accumulated. We know that so many swaps have taken place, but that's it.
Yep, could have been one user, could have been 1,000
Right.
users. We don't know specifically. So that's a clear line in the sand that we want to make sure we uphold over time.
So I'd
you
say
said we're
that's-
talking about DeFi.
Well, that's probably the only lack of privacy in Edge.
Yeah.
Would be specifically the swaps.
Yeah, the swaps, exchange, fiat ramps as well. Yep. We were going to talk about DeFi a little bit, you said.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the future because now not only can you not censor the funds on chain, up to the chain itself.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But then you can't even have the swap partners say, well, we don't like those funds. We're not going to allow you to swap them into some other chain.
Yeah,
I agree with that. DeFi is the future. I want to bring this question because we were at a good start. Like we talked about the formation of Edge, how we started, the transition to Edge, and then maybe we can kind of close it with, so now, like, where do you see Edge in 5 years? Like, what's your vision? And I know, Willie, we just mentioned like DeFi is the future. So like, what's your vision with Edge and DeFi and whatever the future of crypto? Where do you see Edge in 5 years? Or crypto in general, or both Edge and crypto?
You know, this sounds really boring, and this is not a great answer. Like, it's not very exciting, but pretty much where we are right now. I'm really happy with the product we built.
Yeah, just make it better, stable, I think we're at a kind of like incremental phase.
Yeah.
Where you polish. You polish as much as you can.
Yeah.
Make sure to iron out the kinks that are so hard for us to figure out because once again, we have so much or so little visibility on what people run into.
Yeah.
So I would agree with that. I would love to see the product incrementally change, not super drastically, you know, like the way we went Airbits to Edge. I don't want to have to do that kind of thing
you don't
again.
do that again. Okay.
so
But maybe
that
with
was,
AI,
that was
it might be
painful.
easier.
No.
See, I say it's not because the expectations are higher,
Okay.
right? Whatever we would try to rewrite, we would only do it because there's just a gigantic need for something huge. So therefore, AI only makes it easier, but you have to build something much larger, you know? So
Well, AI is the current hot buzzword. Should we integrate AI into Edge?
let us know. Let us know. And you know,
What about
generally I've
this?
been,
Where do you see crypto and Edge fitting in? Like, say, AI is mainstream, robotics. You know, there's like there's more robots out there than the human population, and they're all interacting with each other, doing commerce. You know, what benefits that robot? Like, is the robots using, you know, crypto? Is it using Edge? Could we?
Well,
fit
see,
that?
now there's a dark future that's arising on the horizon, and there's
Yeah.
a bright future that's arising on the horizon, right? The
Right.
dark future is AI takes over, and it's controlled by the likes of Google
right?
Yeah,
and
centralized.
OpenAI
Yes.
and all these large corporations who now hold all the data.
Right.
You use AI in your web browser, and now they know everything you've ever searched for. Google already knew that, but now now they know all your darkest thoughts and secrets in a
Yes.
more personal level than ever before.
Yep.
And then you have no privacy. The cool
The bright future.
bright future is crypto takes over,
Yeah.
almost as a counterpoint to that. And
Yep.
then now we all have autonomy, privacy. We all use Monero or Xano or any of these private coins. Oh, shoot. And yeah,
And we're able to fight back from that. I mean, the AI will still continue to exist, but we'll at least have our own kind of vault of private information that isn't breached by AI.
Right.
Because we're not using the services that are just simply like, okay, fully cloud, unencrypted.
That AI is already connected to.
And I guess that ties into an old, gosh, we haven't executed on this, but we've talked about it so much, right? Which is Edge's ability to create the suite of private apps.
Well,
Yeah.
Edge can
know.
store private information encrypted in our backups. What else can we put in there? Can we put passwords? Can we put other things?
Yeah, for sure. We've talked about having our own password manager. That's something that's very feasible. We kind of hacked together a small version of that back in Berkeley, if you remember.
We did.
Yeah, we hacked together not a password manager, but like a
Two-factor app.
a two-factor app, right? An MFA app, like a Google Authenticator. But I would love to see just like private notes and a photo app that everything is stored encrypted but backed up to the cloud. Nobody can see what it is, and because I'm using it on a regular basis and it uses like my Edge credentials, you use it, you don't lose it.
Yeah.
You know? And so that is what I keep coming back to every year is I can't wait for the time when we have the resources to be able to build or motivate someone, maybe like a grant, hackathon kind of a thing, right? Like a big prize at hackathon, maybe a 20 Bitcoin prize. No, just kidding. Another hackathon for someone to build, an app that, a lot of people would want to use that is, I call it like consumer generated content type of an app. Like a QuickBooks is a consumer generated content, meaning you put stuff into it, right? It's not an app for just surfing the web. So you put content into it, but that content is encrypted, backed up, synced between your devices, and nobody can see it but you, unless you choose to share it. And that would be impervious to the AI world.
Yeah.
Right? Google can't collect it. We can't collect it.
Right.
And you actually still have that vault. It's almost a little island in a sea of surveillance. You've got that little island for your stuff that you want to keep private. And the good thing is it starts with your crypto.
Yeah, the money.
That's the most important.
It's the most important thing. Your private keys.
Yep.
You know the golden rule: he who has the gold makes the rules, right?
Yeah.
So if you start with your value, then work out from there. That's a good.
You just adapt that phrase now to he who has the Bitcoin and the crypto makes the rules. So that's what I would say is, our 5-year vision, although we said that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's still feasible.
Well, I think that's the thing is by not getting distracted with those other projects, we're staying focused on
focused right now.
Core privacy.
And actually, I'd love for someone else to build it. Like, it doesn't have to come out of Edge, right? This is an open platform that other people can build to use the security model and the account system, data encryption, storage, and whatnot.
We do have an SDK. It's all open source.
It's open source. Might not be the best documented, but we'll help you through it. If you got an exciting project, if you got an exciting project, we'll join our Slack. We'll walk you through it and help you get the thing built. And if you're local in San Diego, come on by. We'll help you as well, right? And so there is a bright future above what you would see the future of what I'd call our competitors, right? We have a story that is unique as far as how we can scale to really enable that financial freedom and that like data sovereignty that the average I just want to send and receive or DeFi, degen, like those apps really can't enable. So yeah, I'm excited about the future. Continue to be cool.
Any other questions?
Good wrap?
Yeah, I think
anything from the audience, or we've been rambling forever?
Yeah.
Oh.
We didn't have any questions. Everyone's just been vibing with us, and just want to give a shout out to everyone who commented.
Okay,
just
cool.
Appreciate their engagement.
All right, thanks everybody.
Mr. Crip,
Mr.
A
Quibs?
Wild SJ, and Yoditar.
A Wild SJ. She's come over here to the meetup. She's I think from the Hex community.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly what she said. Thanks for thanks for supporting Pulse Chain and True DeFi.
All right, cool. All right,
Cool.
so that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening in to us ramble about the history and years of building Airbits and Edge.
Yep.
And so maybe we'll see you again for our 8th birthday.
Yeah.
We turn 8 years old
or
next
our
year.
Next meetup.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Even sooner.
Cool. All right, thanks everyone.
Yeah.